I moved to New Zealand in 2011, which was meant to be a gap year, which never really ended. I've met many people who have found themselves in the same situation, that New Zealand it's just an amazing place to be in. And so it's been a wonderful place to set up some small businesses, which I've done, and support other small businesses. But in the bottom line is that I'm a lover of food trucks and events, and New Zealand is a great place to host both of those. In 2011, I was familiar with the event scene with a corporate role that I was with MasterCard. They were one of the big sponsors of the Rugby World Cup. And so it was great insight to see how commercially run events are. And they are huge. So many people are involved and stakeholders are involved, and it's a huge operation. And I knew I really wanted to operate in the event space. I wasn't too sure in what industry as such, but in the long short of it is that it led me to sort of start my passion for events, where in 2016, I co-founded the Food Truck Collective with Tim from Double Dutch Fries, who was also a food truck operator in Auckland. Now, at that time in Auckland, there wasn't many events, like consistent events happening. As you mentioned, you've got your sort of headline events that come to Auckland. They're really well run, really well attended, but there was nothing on a regular basis that was not just supporting these small businesses who are running food trucks, but also activating spaces and bringing communities together. There's the night markets, which operate all over Auckland, and they're a great line of events, but we want to do something just a little bit different that matched the kind of a more upmarket sort of events vibe as such, because these food trucks are ex-chefs. They know how to make amazing food, and their food trucks are kitted out really professionally. So it was a slightly different vibe, and it was a success from the beginning. I never thought that 6-7 years on that we would be scaling our business to be running 60-70 events this coming summer, which physically I don't know how we're going to do, but we'll do it, and it's in a really exciting space to be in. So in terms of my role at the Food Truck Collective, just to summarize, the Food Truck Collective has two arms. So we have an arm where we run events in different spaces all around Auckland. As we said, we activate parks and reserves, and we primarily host in areas outside of the CBD, because that's where the majority of events are hosted because of the space and the venues that are available. However, parks and reserves on Auckland Council grounds have they're such stunning locations, and they're so underactivated, and communities love to kind of congregate in these areas because they're big, there's big parking, and they can accommodate food trucks at all sizes. So we can kind of make it as big or as small as we like. And so one of my roles is to come up with the concept of hosting events. And so we're doing the summer series this year, where we're hosting as far north as Warkworth and Omaha. We're going east to Howick, going west to Te Atatu, and Kumu and Riverhead, and south to Manuira and Pukekohe, I think we're doing this year as well, and kind of everything in between with that. So that's really exciting. Some of the other kind of headline events that we do in Auckland is the Fried Chicken Festival, which I'll go into in my next slide, but that's a big one for us. And then also, one of the key things that we'll touch on, I imagine, later in this discussion, is creating events in non-peak times, like sort of winter. Like event season itself is very seasonal because we're so reliant on good weather to host events outside. So there are lots of small businesses and communities that rely on us to still do stuff when it is winter. And so we came up with the concept last year of Winterfest, which we hosted at the Botanic Gardens and also out west in Te Atatu, which was a really exciting concept with Auckland Unlimited under the Elemental brand, which they've been running in the last couple of years. Alongside coming up with the concepts, marketing's so important for events. You need to ensure that you share the love across all channels now. A lot of the insights we're receiving is that Facebook doesn't quite have the same reach as it used to. There's bots, algorithms, people are not using the platform as much. So having a diverse portfolio of different platforms to utilize to promote your events is really important. So we got a TikTok, which I'm not familiar with that space whatsoever. So that's something they're exploring as well at the moment. And then obviously your traditional kind of website and media outlets like Urban List and stuff are a great advocate for events in Auckland. And Another really important part of my role is partnerships and collaboration. So whether that be professional organizations, business associations, community groups, I love to engage as many kind of event stakeholders into our events to make sure that it kind of a lot of people can benefit from what we're trying to do. Running events is in a real positive kind of line of work, and I feel people just love to get out and about. And again, we'll probably go into further discussion about this with COVID, but COVID was a huge impact, not just on sort of all the industry, but events really suffered. And I think if anything positive has come out of the last few years, people are really going to start appreciating the novelty of being able to engage and be together in community events. And humans are meant to be with one another, and people want things to do, to get out, to mix and try new things. So that's something really passionate as well that I love to do. I just love to see people's faces when they come and they're surprised and happy with what we've created. My next slide is talking about sort of favorite events that we love to put on, and talking about collaborations. Again, an example of this is that we are teaming up. We run regular night markets out in the Te Atatū Peninsula most months throughout the summer, where we take over a big car park. We have up to 20 different food offerings, and we kind of activate that space. And the Te Atatū community over the last 4 or 5 years have always come in and supported and loved what we do. We like to try and theme each month, which we work really closely alongside the community centre. The team there are really passionate about what we do, and they try to help us as much as we can with other kind of assets and stakeholders and community groups, and try to really feel like the community is involved in this event. And one of the themes we have next month is we are joining forces with Regenerate Fashion Market, which is a pre-loved fashion market which is operated by a lovely lady called Susie, and she does mostly morning markets all around Auckland, where she has sometimes 40 or 50 or more different stalls of pre-loved fashion items, which I'm a big lover of, because it's just such a great space. And so we're combining forces. So it's one of her first night markets she's doing, which will be activating the hall, and we'll be activating the car park. And together, I feel like she will have her following of people who will be coming to her market, which will then benefit from our kind of add-on event, and vice versa. So I feel like it's a real sort of recipe for success, not just for the stakeholders that are involved, but the communities that are going to come and enjoy this event. So I'm really excited about that, and I feel like it's going to be a great success. We've done other kind of collaborative things with, also again with the Te Atatū Community Centre, with our Winterfest event, which we held last year. They had some budget to help contribute towards kind of elevating the event further. We did a silent disco, like a UV silent disco in their library, which looked amazing. I should try and pull up the video, or I'll share it with the notes after the event, because it was really amazing to kind of activate the different areas of the community centre, so people can kind of go into the library, and if they haven't been into the library before, they can see all the amazing books and spaces that are available to hire as well. So that's really amazing. Finally, another favorite event, I know this is on a larger scale, but this is just an example of what can be achieved at a smaller scale, as well as theming events. My business partner a few years ago suggested we hosted a fried chicken festival, or fried chicken event as such, because we were doing it kind of different pop-up events around Auckland, and we were noticing when you have a themed event, the media seems to pick up on it a lot more, because it's a bit of a novelty event, and guests or people who are coming along have an expectation of what to expect, because it's a little bit different. It's a kind of a niche offering versus every other event that we host, which is quite generic in terms of the food trucks lineup. So I said, yeah, I don't think it's really going to take off. And long story short, I was very, very wrong. It went viral overnight. And then the following year, we had to upgrade to Shed 10 in Auckland CBD, because there are a lot of people in Auckland that love fried chicken. Like it's incredible. So we bring together a dozen different flavored food trucks and pop-up restaurants, and people just love the novelty of it. And it's an event that will continue to grow year on year. So collaborations and themed events, regardless of what scale they are really valuable tools, I feel, to really maximize an event and make it different and attract people to come to the space that you're trying to activate. But there's like fried chicken appreciation Facebook groups where people talk about like fried chicken tips, and like there's always like a niche group that will enjoy what you're doing. It's just making sure you can reach them and contact them and tell them that you're doing it, because they'll be advocates for the event and tell all the people that they know, which saves you probably a lot of time and energy trying to target them. I'm hearing lots of like things about the fact that you can reach so many more people with events as well, because especially with our food events being obviously food focused, there's no kind of niche necessarily for that. Like food attracts everybody. So we need to be across so many different platforms to try and attract food lovers, whether it be Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. I'm starting to use LinkedIn a little bit more, just kind of because everybody loves food. And the food trucks that are operating in Auckland can cater to all taste buds. So we make sure that we accommodate that when we're planning our events, which is pretty important.